Good evening and welcome to another edition of Life is People. Blackjack's gig at Newcastle was the first time I'd heard or listened to any of your music previously. And I was saying I was blown away and humbled at the same time by the experience. You were one of the tightest bands I've known for a long time. So my sort of beginning question I'd love to ask you really, and you kind of alluded to it in the actual gig itself, but where did your journey with music begin in this lifetime?
Aware. So yeah, I mean, we like to think of it as kind of something that came from nowhere, kind of like the idea of being the kind of band that we are, sort of being bigger than us, beyond us. I think on some level, there's a part where we are curating it and driving it, and there's a part where you know it's not really you, not directly at least. It's a part of you, could be some ancestral thing or whatever, it crosses time. So we like to say that the Blackjacks kind of began with the Big Bang. It's just a continuation of that expansion and sound kind of through time, because our first gig with the guy who used to be the lead singer in the band, co-founder, guy called Lindani Buthelezi, who you will hear more of on the first album, and is not with us on the second album. When we started, those early gigs, we hardly knew sort of like how to play the instrument, and over time, being in front of people, trying anyway to put on shows, regardless of that fact, just kind of enamored with any sound that came out of the guitar at the time, kind of a Dadaist vibe as well. It's the crowds, basically the audiences that we met, people who stumbled in on our rehearsals, the three people in the audience, whatever venue we're playing, that all over a period of time influenced where we were going, and we always felt like we were just responding and being drawn into something. So fast forward, you're playing a show and people are just chatting and going to the bar to get another drink, so you turn the amp up a little, and suddenly you're a different band because the drummer has to rise to that tone, and then the bassist is looking across going, oh, so that's what we're doing tonight, and then slowly you become basically what you saw in Newcastle, and it's not like thumb sucked from any rock and roll magazines or anything like that. We love our music, we love our inspiration, like all the people who came before us, some great music happening right now, but with us it was always kind of it started from a kind of more searching internal process, especially in collaboration with anybody who's seen us live, like yourself. It's all in response. That's where we come from. We come from really from the live music hall.
So in that process of creating music, what will come first? Will you have a lick or a set, chord, or so? Oh, does the music come first and then you implant the words afterwards, or do you have an inclination of the words and then try to fit the music around it, or is it just another combination that just comes together in the moment and then out come the lyrics and out come the music at the same point?
Yeah, I mean, we're open to everything. I would say it's a combination, but you feel in sound when you play the music out. Every sound, every note gives you something, a feeling. So I like to write to the music. I think we're more inclined to playing, and if we find something we like, then we write to that, because I think sometimes the ideas you have in your head in terms of story, text, things you've seen in the news or read in a book, you know, some of it there's too much sort of interference for me there, and there's something about just hearing something in the rehearsal room after hours of noise and going, oh, what was that? And then trying to interpret that sound in terms of lyrics or story or concept. So I think music first, and then concept, story. Yeah.
So, in terms of the lyrics, the words you're writing, will you catch them? What do you catch them on ink on paper, or do you catch that on your phone and then keep it? You have like a notepad full of like little phrases you hear, or is it literally you just store it in your mind, and as you're describing that process when you're jamming and when you're making music, you just let the words flow? I mean, how does that actual creative process work for you?
Sure. Yeah. No. That for me at least, it has to be in the room. So again, it's a very kinetic thing. I think being in the band for us and for the Blackjacks, the less we think about it, the better we feel. So you have to really find that gap, that moment of inspiration. So usually it's humming things out, shouting things out, screaming, going for it, you know, and something stick, and then you go, okay, that's kind of the thread, and then you can go back and sit with it and write it on a piece of paper and send it around to the rest of the band, and things like this. Yeah, I think it's always music first, then a bit of shouting, screaming, humming, chanting, finding it, and then from there it can be refined at a later point in different ways.
Well, one of the things I remember you saying when you did the Newcastle concert, were you saying that I think it was pre Me Compele, and please excuse my use of the words, but I remember you doing that song, and I think it was yourself that was saying that one of the inspirations to that was just hearing children just bouncing a ball around and stuff like that. That's where the sort of music comes from. And it kind of bleeds into sort of like the next sort of question. I mean, I love the fact that you're not trying to write for a Western audience. You don't just put the songs in English, which a lot of bands do, and you know that's kind of a worldwide experience. But you actually write from your what? Let's just start from the beginning. What? When you were writing songs like Me Compele and stuff, are they written in? I mean, what are they? What language is that technically you're writing in?
Yeah, so because South Africa has 11 official languages.
Yeah.
That's also not the most number of languages in any country anywhere. But there's something about having them technically recognized as the official languages that gives us this kind of license, you know. Because in Johannesburg, the culture is such that Johannesburg, South Africa, the culture is such that people come from different places. You know, they came to this place of gold. You know, the city was basically discovered and built around, you know, gold, the discovery of gold. Slave trade is basically same time as America, same ships that sailed there, sailed here. So in many ways, when you're in Johannesburg, people are bleeding sort of different languages into the same sentences sometimes, which, for example, where I'm sitting right now in France, you never hear. You won't hear somebody say the first 3 words in the sentence in French and then break into like Spanish at the end, which is what happens in Johannesburg. So our music is written reflecting that. It's honest about that. As I say, it happens mostly at the spur of the moment, and we don't try to re-engineer it too much after that. You know, so this even the song Mekilapile, which is in Sesotho, Tswana, Pedi, which is like a kind of tribe of languages, and then you have Zulu, Xhosa, a sort of Swati, you know, which is another kind of Nguni tribe of languages. Mekilapile is more in the Pedi, Sotho, Tswana kind of variation, and we played something, and we felt it reminded us of this song that the kids used to play in the streets, little kids, kind of like double dutch or like the hand clapping kind of games with each other. And it used to be sung sort of like in the townships of South Africa. I guess kids who live in these townships probably still play these games, or in rural areas, you know, kids who still play like that outside. They would still be doing this, and it was a game about. It says, "Mom." The story is, "Mother, I'm hungry. Mom, I'm hungry. Will you please feed me?" And it's set to the beat of the train tracks, which used to carry the workers, the fathers, mostly, to the mines. So it's that katlang 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 katlang. So they played along to that sound of the trains going by, and it turned out when we checked that when we heard this rhythm in the rehearsal room, said, "Oh man, it reminds us of this," and at the same time we're realizing that actually that song has a really out there kind of time signature in terms of the beat. So we're like, man, we gotta adapt this. So that's also like the form, the angle in which these ideas come. They're not gimmicks for us. It's not a way to go like, oh, here's a clever idea. We're never patronizing the audience. We're being carried into something in the same way that we hope people who come to the show get carried into something.
Perfect. Well, we've got cut short tonight by connections and time, so we have just literally got the clock running down. So I want to say thank you much for giving this brief sort of little period of time. Maybe we'll have another follow-up conversation at some point. But I'd like to leave you with the final word before I say anything. Life is people.
Yeah, I mean, life is people. Life is it's a trip, really. It's an amazing thing. I mean, I've been having a kind of existential episode recently, myself, thinking about many things. After this tour where you saw us, we've gone straight into organizing a festival in South Africa, starting a festival called the Black Rock Festival. We're going on a tour in the US, and there's just like a lot of ideas swirling in my head. There was so much energy that we gathered from this tour, having not done a tour like this for over 10 years. Finally getting back and realizing, what this all means to us and all of that. There's my kids, got 2 kids now, touring while you got kids and wife at home. It's different to touring in your early 20s as well, so somehow the meaning of everything is kind of elevated, and the sacrifice is highlighted and the joy is highlighted. And yeah, music is a beautiful thing. People are, fascinating.
Perfect. And I'm gonna sort of finish this, and we'll put in the live version of you playing Me Compele, which is in the Newcastle as well. like I say, thank you very much for your time, dude. We'll have to catch up and do a further conversation because there's so much we could talk about. But from here in Scotland, I want to say, life is people, people.
Respect.
Well, they say that life is people and that people are angels and that angels are devils and the devils are me and you.